Okay, this is what's known as an invisible screen. Now, screen doors are beyond the scope of this inspection, but that's the invisible screen, and that's how it's working today. Doorbells should be illuminated. It's not, and they should be sealed around the edges. We should have protective weather covers. They're called in-use covers, bubble covers, helmet covers. This is a weather cover, but if you plug your Christmas lights into here, then it stays open, and then water can get into that. So, in a protected area, and this could be considered a protected area, so there might be some debate here. But in a protected area, that might be acceptable. I'd choose wind-driven rain. That's how I based my opinion. Rain gutters are below grade. You notice I'm not wearing gloves, and my voice is very clear enough. And it's because I'm outside. Once I go inside, and then the gloves come on. Once I go inside, then the mask goes on, so it'll be muffled. I'm looking for a good spot right here. The rake edge flashing, it's the flashing between the roof covering, that black, and the fascia. But right there, that rake edge flashing is loose, it's curling, it's coming out of the way. Right there at the peak, at the ridge, it's not properly lapped. Over here, right there, am I getting that? Right in there, it's not properly lapped either. I'll try and get a still image of that. We've got a metal overhead door. And the purpose of steps, doors, bricks, anything. This is the first. This is the last panel. They're coming on along. We're getting a little bit of separation between the lintel here. Got a little separation right there. Separation between the casement and the brick. Right in there. Coming out to the street. The one on the left, the east one, the structure faces north. So the east one, the one on the left, that's the water meter to this home. And inside of it, you'll see a small dial, a little sprocket. Well, maybe the camera will pick that up. And that's called a flow indicator, or a lot of people call them cheaters paddles or cheater wheels. If that's moving, water's moving. Water's moving in. Fresh water is moving into the structure. There's a leak somewhere. So if your water bill is unusually high, you might want to come out here and check your cheater wheel. Right here. Over here. This is the main shutoff valve for the lawn sprinkler system. And I'm suspecting that this is going to be off because those handles are perpendicular. They're rusty nonetheless. There should be 3 inches of clearance underneath the valve so the hands can get around to service it. And the bottom of the irrigation box should be lined with gravel to keep mud from filling in like this. Now this wasn't required when the home was built, and I'm not going to turn, if that lawn sprinkler system's not on, I'm not turning it on, okay? Because those handles are rusty, and it's off for a reason. Now when this home was built, a main shutoff valve to the lawn sprinkler system wasn't required, just those 2 isolation valves. But by today's standards, if the house was built this morning, there would be an isolation valve out here outside of the irrigation. Oh, let's stretch it out a little bit. There'd be an isolation valve outside of the box here somewhere. So it's going to make the report, but rusty handles, clearance, those kinds of things are something that never was acceptable. Coming on along. These are called shrinkage cracks. Shrinkage cracks. That's not a foundation issue. It might be a brick issue because they're holding the bricks up, because we have a brick exterior. The walls are actually wood. So what happens is the cement shrinks. It's always drying. Hoover Dam dried a couple years ago. It took over 60 years for that to dry. This isn't that old. It's always shrinking your brick. You'll never be able to measure it, but your brick is stretching, growing. The brick, the wooden walls, the brick clad siding
and the foundation all have different thermodynamics, and they're all expanding and contracting at different rates. There's supposed to be a plastic that goes around the perimeter, a plastic flashing, if you will. It never goes to the corners. The cement's shrinking, the brick's growing, and so sometimes you get these, like I said, shrinkage cracks. Excuse me. Some people call them corner pops. Call it what you will. Now, if it's bad enough, it's severe enough, it might be a brick issue. It might be an aesthetic issue, but it's not a foundation issue. This is the main shutoff valve to the house. That handle's rusty as well, and that box should be excavated. The valve is buried, and again lined with gravel, like the lawn sprinkler. And lining it with gravel is the best practice that you really want to do. But unlike the sprinkler system, it's not an actual requirement. This is the weather sensor for lawn sprinkler system, and it's supposed to be sitting up at a 90-degree angle, so he's not positioned very well. He's sure not. This is the water pressure to the house. Let's see what we got. We got like dead on 80. That's the maximum. We're looking at between 40 and 80. So we've got dead on 80. It's not too much. It's enough to pay attention to. Obviously the grading and drainage around here is poor. Might be why they have the lawn sprinkler system turned off, is to avoid this. But obviously this west side yard is not draining like it should. It's pretty evident. Electric power below grade, we got one single grounding rod. Depends on what we find inside. One single ground, depends on what we find inside on the wall. By today's standards, you'd have 2 grounding rods no farther apart than 6 feet. When this home was built, that was acceptable. The sides and the tops of the meter should have been sealed to help prevent moisture infiltration into the walls. I am not sure what this piping is for. This is your sprinkler control piping. I just don't have any idea. It might be for like a water filter or something. I don't believe it's for the water heater. If it is for the water heater, they're too close to the ground. But I think I found something on the other side. All this mud. This is your electric service disconnect for the air conditioning system. And like the electric meter, it should be sealed on the sides and on the top. Moving on along. This air conditioning unit, it appears to be 1 year old. R22, R410A, which is great. It could be a little further from the wall. It could be, but it's not. And it's 5 tons. 5 tons. Rain gutter downspouts do not discharge water far enough away from the structure. Of course, we're collecting it over here. Missing a little bit of sealant right in here. These are called control joints. Some people call them expansion joints. Call it what you may, but these are necessary, like the lines in the street. We expect the walls to move. These absorb that movement. They absorb that movement. I don't know how much of this roof we're going to get on. We could have used this area as a good spring, jump off, whatever. Could have, it wasn't so muddy. Now over here, these same shrinkage cracks, corner pops. These are right here on the corners. The cement's still in place. Now, as far as the pest control, structural pest control inspection, those cracks are voids that can hide subterranean termite activity traveling into the structure. So that's a conducive condition, and that will make the report. Okay, just a little bit of grease board movement right here. That won't make the, it is a general statement, but just so that you can see what I'm talking about on the report, there it is. There it is. Then come coming along here, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So if I don't know, I'll tell you. Okay, but these window ledges, and then that last course before you get to the window ledges, it looks like there's been some mortar repair there. And not just there. There. Now this patio is a little larger. It is from the south though. So the jury's out on the in-use cover there. This screen door, this is the way it was working today. It doesn't really have a latch. Okay, it seems to be working. Again, beyond the scope. And I'm thinking just pressure is the only thing that holds it closed. So I don't know how that'll hold up in high winds. We'll see. We'll find out sooner or later. This is a gas port for the patio. That's convenient. I'd sure use it. But I'm also here to tell you, because that's my job, check with the manufacturer, the grill manufacturer, because this is a covered roof. That's a soffit vent, air intake vent into the attic. See what their installation and use requirements, recommendations. See what they have to say about it. If they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. I'd probably, like I said, I'm a hypocrite. I'd probably do it myself. But just know that at your, use at your own risk if you're going to put a grill back here and use that under this cover. More of those corner joints. Moving on along. One thing that I haven't noticed, I have not noticed, is any stair-step or vertical or horizontal cracks in the brickwork. It's been relatively uneventful. So, I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now these stones out here, they're not dimensionally uniform. They won't even make the report. This is the neighbor's stones, but, if somebody wants to take a tour around here, late at night or whatever, and use, I don't know. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up because more than you want to know. This is the fresh air vent. This is the fresh air vent for the fireplace. That's a good thing. And then this is what I'm assuming, and we'll find out later about the other side or this side, but I'm assuming that this is the temperature pressure relief drain and the safety pan drain for the water heater. I imagine that's what those are. And they're higher from the ground than 6 inches. And they shouldn't be higher from the ground than 6 inches. They should be between 6 and 3 inches to the ground. So these are too high if they are what I think they are, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. We're missing a window screen, at least one. Missing a window screen. Coming along, another, yank you around a little bit. On this particular, this is the house, structure faces north, so this is the south, on the east wall, the south control joint, but the ceiling is shrinking a little bit here, and it needs to be reapplied, scraped out and reapplied to keep water from getting in. These are weep holes. Okay, home ownership 101, all roofs leak, all walls leak. We expect them to shed water faster than they accept it. That's why we have these weep holes. This brick is actually porous. It's not waterproof at all. It's actually porous. That said, we don't want more water getting in than it was designed. These weep holes were designed for this structure as it was built, with these being sealed. With these not being sealed, then more moisture is getting into the wall than the weep holes were designed to allow to escape. And sometimes you never see the moisture. Sometimes this is just vapor. If you get enough moisture in there, you'll see it coming out. They'll flood something. But anyway, so that's why that should be sealed. That's why we should pay attention to our windows. This one's not so bad. This is the overflow drain. Safety pan drain for your HVAC, for your evaporator coil, your air conditioning evaporator coil drain line. That's the secondary. That's your spare tire. And it's over the window, so that if you see that draining, then you know that you've got a problem. And you'll call a technician out pronto, as soon as possible. This is the gas meter. It's on the east side of the guest bedroom. Lawn sprinkler heads, Non-sprinkler heads should not be closer to the structure than 12 inches. So even though we might not run this, and we haven't discovered that yet, but it's looking like we probably won't run this, then but we still have issues. We got issues with the rusty handles. We've got issues with this being too close. We've got issues with the weather sensor not positioned properly. Now, we got a lot of ants in here. I'm doing a wood destroying insect report on this house, and those are not wood destroying insects. They're not your friends. They're not your friends at all. Those are not carpenter ants, though. They are not carpenter ants. Looks like they're about ready to swarm. Of course, it's swarm season. Look at that. Got a little queen right there. No, get off of me. I don't need another ant bite. I've got plenty already. My quota. What about you? And you? Wood mulch should not be underneath the edge roof line of the house. That's considered conducive conditions. Now these bushes won't make the report. They're cut back. They're cut back. But you need to watch them. By the time you move in, they'll be on it. By the time you close, they'll be on the house. And they need to be cut back, monitored. These are the main sewer cleanouts. Main sewer cleanouts right there. On the east side of the front porch. Now right in here. Where this wall comes down, this comes down right there. There should be kick-out flashing. As it is, that's 2 foot. And see that rain gutter? It's supposed to be about 2 inches away from the house, from the structure. It's not supposed to be butted up next to the structure like that. It's not supposed to be butted up like that. It's supposed to be about 2 inches of clearance there, and then the kick-out flashing should be there to stick the water in it. That's one place where we need kick-out flashing. Another place where we need kick-out flashing is right over here, over this cornice. Over the east side of the garage. Right in there, there should be kick-out flashing. Rain gutters above and below grade. This one's below grade. Pops out right there.